This is the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
Dinner parties.
Oh, yes.
Love a good dinner party.
You like putting them on too, don't
I
you?
do, because I like to cook, and so it's a great opportunity to whip up a few classic dishes.
Funnily enough, you never bring anything in here now.
No, 'cause you know why?
It
Because it all gets eaten.
Gets eaten.
I'm
But you
that
know,
good,
dinner
I'm that
parties.
good.
Dinner parties is when you would never do it for your own family, but you'll wrap something
yeah.
in bacon. Wrap something fiddly in bacon, put a little toothpick in it, put it in the oven. You know what I mean? You'd never go to that trouble for your family.
Yeah, true.
All right, so get this right. This chick wrote into Kids Spot, who publishes some interesting articles. And she says, right, she was invited around to a friend's house for dinner. There was a group of 4, right? She said they fancy themselves a bit of a home chef, and they've had us around a couple of times in the past. They always put on a really nice spread and nice seafood or meat. There's always a lot of nibbles and sides.
Yes.
It's wonderful. But this time, for some reason, they asked if we could chip in for the meal. And by that, she meant, I'll tell you how much.
Right.
Yeah. And they went, okay, wait there. Chip in for the meal. Well, it's fair, I suppose.
I mean,
She's putting on
She
a
said
dinner
the
party. We're all
meat
getting
cost a
together.
little bit more.
Okay.
So, okay, well, we will, $30 or $40. That'll be all right. That's fair, yeah? What do you think?
I mean, I guess so.
I suppose
I
so.
don't like
But
the
so
idea
you've
of it. As a
invited
hostess,
people
I would
over?
never do
You've
this.
invited people over.
Yeah.
Well, she went and bought steak, Shaun, so she said the steak cost a little more than what she'd expect.
Don't invite people over.
Yeah.
Or don't cook steak.
We'll get this though.
Okay.
She wasn't asking for $30 or $40. She went and asked for $100 each.
Per person.
Sorry.
What?
Come over
Has
for
she
dinner,
opened a
Nathan.
restaurant?
There better be
What
an
is
entire
happening?
cow in there.
You can go to restaurants and get the chef's menu where they feed you like until you can't eat another thing, and it's like $70, $80.
Yeah.
This is what she said. She goes, I found it a bit odd. She said, firstly, we could go out for a nice dinner for that amount. She said, but also her and her partner, they're both in very high-paying jobs.
Okay.
So it's not like money should be an issue.
Yes.
She goes, I never know what situation people really are in, but it just seemed like they live a pretty lavish lifestyle. And then she said they didn't want to make a fuss, so all of them agreed to pay. But the night was so weird because there was an awkward vibe in the air because a transaction had been made. So it's sort of set up an expectation as if you're in a restaurant.
Yeah, because then if you don't like it, like you made something with the food I've paid for and I don't like it, then what? Do I get my money back?
You know what? You cannot do this down the line after an interview. Oh, sorry, after a invite. You cannot do it.
No.
At the forset. I'd like you around for dinner, but hey, it's going to cost everyone $100 each.
Yeah.
At the forset, you can't invite someone, make plans, and
The
everyone.
price should
and then,
be part of the decision-making
because then it's hard
process.
for you to say no because you've already known they've gone out and bought the food.
But also, if you're charging me $100,
You're in a bad
why don't we just
position.
all go out for dinner and you don't have to cook? Like,
Yeah,
then
I
everybody's
totally
a
agree.
winner. Makes no sense.
You cannot ask for someone
No,
to
you
chip in
cannot.
for that. I
You
actually
cannot.
really do think that you cannot ask someone to chip in for it. If you've invited someone over to your house for dinner and it's not a thing where you've established the fact that a group has one dinner there
Or
and a
you're
group
not-
has a dinner there and
you're
everyone
not-
pitches in.
You're not fundraising for something.
Yes. It's
On a different slight note on that, when we've had Christmas at our house, so it became year in, year out on Megan's side of the family, then a couple of times we just asked her brother in particular, one of her brothers who's away a lot, just to give us the cash because we know he's not going to organise anything. And,
Yes, yeah, so he's not
there's
gonna
an entire
contribute in
group
any
of
other
people.
way.
So, yeah, because you know how people rock up
But
and
then again,
chips in for the
you've
whole
got
thing.
100 people in your immediate family,
yeah.
right? So no, this is your family, like,
Yeah.
so you've got so many people in your family. But then I'm sure people have been in situations where they're a single person and they've been asked to chip in the same amount.
Yes, yeah, that's
as
right.
a family, and it'd be like,
Yes.
no, I'm eating one lot,
Yes.
you're eating 5 lots, 6
Nathan,
lots.
there was a Christmas a few years ago where they decided that we would all chip in for the meat. And so we did that because they got some special from a butcher. We all did that. But also then we had to bring $100 worth of prawns.
Each.
No.
Oh, I was
as
going
in-
to say, that would have been so many prawns.
$100 worth of prawns.
Yeah.
So chip in each and then bring $100 worth of prawns. So
And
everyone
nobody
had
else was bringing $100 worth of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You'd want to be drinking some really good alcohol that they have paid for. That sounds like a stitch up. now.
We're not just talking about like events at Christmas and dinners and
no.
stuff like that. We would like to know
All sorts of things.
Yeah, what have you been asked to chip in some cash for? And you're like, No.
Yeah. It might be your first day on a job, and they're like, "Can you chip in for Ellie's maternity leave present?" It's
remember
like,
the
I don't know
episode
her.
of was it the episode of Friends? Ross had just moved into the building, and then someone saw him in the hallway, introduced himself, said, "Oh my God, welcome to the building." So then, by the way, the building manager's leaving. We're all pitching in for a present, and Ross goes,
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know them.
I don't know them. So the whole building ended up hating him because he wouldn't pitch in for this guy who he'd never met. The guy had never helped
And was
him.
never going to meet.
13, 24, 10 if you've got a story. 'cause
Yeah,
he's going to be
to
there.
pitch in.
Yeah, how about this? You won't need to pitch in for this dinner. $150 voucher to use at the Sterling Arms. Get the squad together and get amongst it.
No, get them to pitch in.
Yes.
And then, you get the
squad
cash.
together, then
Get
go
them to pay
amongst
cash. All right, 13, 24, 10. We are talking about when the things you had to pitch in for, and you're like, hang on a second, is that pitch-inable?
Yeah, and did you feel bad and you just did it anyway? Because that's what I reckon
that's the
most
clincher.
people will
It
do.
counts,
You
of
would.
course.
It's the Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
Imagine being invited around to someone's house for dinner and you're excited because they're a bit of a foodie and you've had some great times before, and then before you rock up, they send a message and say, hey, the steaks cost a bit more than what we're expecting. Do you mind pitching in some cash? You go, oh, slightly rude, but you know what, 20, 30 bucks, no
Yeah,
worries.
maybe.
No. They asked you for $100 each.
So the steaks were a lot more expensive then, if they were
You
each
know those,
steak
what
you know
we
those
do?
ones that are just
Marble.
completely marble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
But
like
you'd want the
$300
sides to be,
each.
the sides would have to be next level, wouldn't they?
No, mate, you couldn't. It couldn't just be bloody a bowl of chips, hey? So
No
then
way.
again, you
Mashed
would.
potato.
But then again, I would demand chips for the table.
Yeah,
You would.
Julia, hello.
Hi, how are you guys?
Great,
Julia.
Jules. What did you have to pitch in
Good.
for?
Well, it was my 19th birthday, and I was like, boring number. I'm not going to do anything. My girls were like, all right, no, we're going to organise a little surprise for you, a little picnic down at the beach. There was wine, the expensive cheese boards, all of that. It was
Yeah,
really nice,
that's
really
nice.
nice. There was about 9 of us.
Okay.
Then the next morning I wake up and I'm in a group chat, and I was like, oh, what's this? Everyone sent in all of the receipts, and they were like, oh, so because there was 9 of us, we'll just go 9. The total for me ended up being $220.
What? You had to pitch
your
in
own surprise birthday party?
My own surprise
Julia.
party that I didn't want to go to, or like I didn't want to have, you know what I mean? Like I didn't expect it.
Are you
And they
joking?
bought the expensive wine that they thought that I would like, so I ended up having to spend $200 on it.
Oh, my God,
so
Julia.
these are one of these scenarios, right? So, okay, what do you do? Do you say something to your friends, or you just swallow it? What did you do?
I was like, oh yeah, it was really nice, but like, what ended up being this much money? And they were like, oh, that wine, the one that I didn't even touch. So yeah,
Even
No, wait,
worse.
but not even that. This has been
Julia.
really nice. You should be able to say, but why am I
Yes.
paying?
it's
Why
my,
am I?
yeah,
It's my birthday, and it's a surprise that you guys put on for me.
exactly. Just letting you guys know I'm not in that friend group anymore. So
I know. How did you go forward? Because that would just
The
like,
other
rent
thing
space in your mind.
Is that $200 divided between the other 8 is $25, right? That's
Yeah.
their gift to you. That's their gift to you.
Apparently
I
not,
know,
Nat.
and I didn't even walk away with a bottle of wine or any other present.
What was
So-
the wine? Do you know, Julia?
God no, somewhere from Margaret River.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you'd want to think it
Yeah.
was international of some sorts.
Julia, we're outraged
Wow.
on your behalf. Thank you. Mackenzie, hello.
hi.
Hey,
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie.
Okay, what were you asked to pitch in for?
So I'd just broken up with my boyfriend at the time, so I wasn't feeling the best. And a friend of mine said, why don't you come over for dinner and a drink and we'll have a chat? And I thought, maybe it would be good for me to get out of the house. Didn't really want to go, but thought it would be nice to go hang out with some people. So
that's
I
nice.
went. One of my friends invited me over and there was another girl there. And I think we just had like burritos, so just like, beef mince and
Yep.
normal.
Yeah. Cheap as, easy as.
Yeah, pretty cheap, pretty easy. And then got home, didn't feel too much better. But the next morning woke up to a text from her saying, hey, hope you're feeling better. Do you mind sending me, and I can't remember the exact amount, but it was something like $4.50 or $6 or something for last night.
Sorry, no.
You can't be expected to pay for your own pity party.
$4.63.
That's
Not
outrageous.
just that, right? I think it's ridiculous to ask someone out of the blue for a giant sum of money, also for a tiny sum of money.
I know.
Yeah, it's not $100. It's almost worse because I think there was even sofas. that I didn't get to take home. So.
Yes.
Oh, leftovers, yeah.
You can't.
Mackenzie.
People have to stop inviting people over and then suddenly charging them for us, giving an invoice afterwards.
That is outrageous.
This is crazy.
$4.50
And also,
and
she was
$6
already
not gonna
feeling
change
bad
anything.
enough, you know?
I know.
Oh, Mackenzie.
Oh.
Okay, we're outraged for you too.
Yep.
Kai's in Mirrabooka. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good
Hey,
cry.
good
Kai,
cry.
what did you have to pitch in for?
Not so much what I had to pitch in for, but I would get left out of like family presents with my siblings.
What?
What do you mean?
At a younger age, I couldn't like chip in, and they were a little bit older than me, so I'd have to make like arts and crafts stuff for parents and whatnot, and they'd just leave me out.
So for example, it's your mum's birthday. The rest of your siblings would all pitch in and buy her a present.
Now,
and
you
you'd
had
be-
no stream of income, yes?
And so
obviously.
you were just
Yeah.
left to your own
Yeah,
devices. They wouldn't let you put your name on the card.
Yeah, so I had nice little picture cards that I would scribble up from the A4 paper in the printer,
Yep.
and that'd be my present.
Can I tell you the amount of fights that I had with my brother growing up, right? Because I was a very conscientious son and I was working since year 6, year 7. So I always had money. So I would buy mum and dad these really great gifts. One year, I remember at Things, they had this
I thought you
beautiful...
said really great gifts.
No, well, it was one of the top places in Kalgoorlie. So at Things, they had this really beautiful, it was like a miniature wardrobe with see-through glass that you would hang your necklaces on. And you would open up, it would have these like
Amazing.
big double doors. And it was the most glorious thing that I think that mum could ever have. And I bought it for her and I was so excited and I wrote the card and rah-rah. I always knew when he would been around because the envelope would just torn open like a dog had chewed it and he'd write his name on there.
We know what you're doing, Grady.
This is my money. It's my present to mum.
Great work, everybody. Everybody we just spoke to now is in the running for Nova's First Class and 50K. Good news.
That's every present that gets bought for me is actually my money.
Yes.
I know, Sean. You
And
get
your-
the chip
but
in
your
for
name's not on the
for
card.
anything you get. Yeah, you should put your name on the card. Just rip it open like
Sean,
Braden
I
did.
love Sean.
Righto, $150 voucher to use at the Sterling Arms. Going to go back to Julie. Great callers, everybody, but Julie was the first cab off the... A surprise birthday party for her.
Yeah, so angry about that. Sorry for your suffering, Julia.
I could have talked about this for 2 days.
Me too.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean podcast.
There's a new show turning up, the Stan original series, Population 11, premieres on Thursday.
It's good.
March 11. You can get all the episodes at once. It's only on Stan. It was filmed right here in WA. Yesterday, we got the chance to catch up with the star, an American actor named Ben Feldman, who is perhaps one of the most delightful people we've ever caught up
We
with.
love him, and you're going to love him too.
Have a listen.
I'm at the Virgin Lounge right now, about to get on a plane to go to Sydney, and I figured, what better a place to loudly talk about myself in front of strangers?
I think it's
It's so
nice.
funny.
I think it's nice. You'll be flagged and cable tied by security by the end of this.
Ben, do you feel awkward being in the corner doing this? I know there's people in the background and stuff.
Yeah, tremendously awkward. Yeah, no. It's, what's funny is for this show, this is the second interview I've done in an airport in a week.
Oh, really?
Great. That's just great.
Hey, Ben, when I saw
Yeah.
that you were in Population 11, I watched 4 episodes back to back over the weekend, by the way. I think it's so great.
Some good humour in there.
We'll get into that. But I went, oh, my God, that's Jonah from Superstore. Superstore was one of,
Great show.
I think in Australia, not many people jumped on it, and they really should. They should stream it. It's you, American Ferrera. It's basically working in sort of like a small, what's the version of that Cloud9 in America? What would that be?
Walmart, I suppose,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
Target, something
A bit like
like
a
that.
Kmart here.
Yeah, it came up.
Yeah.
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 Just quickly before we get into your new show, what I loved about that is, Ben, it was one of the only shows that really addressed what workers were going through during the pandemic. That was so
Yeah, and
interesting.
I was producer on that show as well, and we had endless conversations during the pandemic, during lockdown, about how we wanted to tell that story. Because early on, there were moments where they were like, do we set the next season in a world where there just isn't a pandemic, so we don't have to deal with that? And I was like, no, these people are on the front lines. These are the
Yes.
actual heroes right now. what a disservice to them it would be if we just ignored that. And so then it became the logistics of how do you shoot a bunch of actors with giant masks on their face and not make the show suck.
Yeah.
And it was really
did a great
good.
job.
But it was what was on that show when I was watching it, I was going, oh my God, this is so reflecting all the people that are working at the supermarkets and stuff.
Yeah.
And you did it and
yet it was still fun.
Yeah, we wanted to
which
make sure
was
it wasn't
so
a bummer. You know, we didn't want to bum everybody
so
out.
funny.
Yeah.
And so it was a tight walk that it was a tight line, but we made it work, I think.
Anyway, everyone streamed Superstore
And it
many
stars
seasons.
Australia's own Josh
Also,
Lawson as well.
on Stan, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh,
Stan.
Stan.
Yeah. Josh Lawson's the pharmacist
yes,
that
he's very
likes
good.
to have
Yeah.
sex with the ladies.
By the way, Josh Lawson does the greatest American accent on earth. Like, if he didn't break in between scenes, you would have to. You would have trouble convincing me that he has even been to Australia before. He sounds so American.
Yeah.
He's so good because he can improvise. And Josh will be the first to brag about this, but he can like improvise in an American accent, which to me is like, that's so much mental gymnastics. I couldn't have imagined doing that.
Well, after working in Australia, have you been working on your Australian accent?
Yeah, I'm not. According to my wife's orders, I am not to do that anymore during press. It's mortifying, she says, for me and for her. So I'm not doing any
You're
more
bringing
Australian
shame upon the
accent.
How many
family.
people have rammed Vegemite in your mouth already?
Immediately, guys. Like the second we got on the plane, the like Qantas person walked over, winked, and dropped it on my wife's tray table, and she was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to do it. Just a little tiny bit.
Just a little tiny bit. They always try to
Little tiny bit.
everyone tries to stitch internationals up by just lathering it with Vegemite, and no one does
You
that.
just say just a little tiny. What most husbands want, just the tip of your tongue.
Just the tip. Yeah, that's the Vegemite slogan. It's just the tip.
Hey, Ben, I haven't been able to find in whereabouts in northwest Australia we actually filmed Population 11. I'm intrigued about
where
this.
were you?
We shot in a town called Derby, which is about 2 airplanes away from anywhere I've ever heard of in my life. So it was like, if you wanted to go to a movie or see a stop sign, you'd have to drive a couple hours.
Yes, to Broome.
So there was a little motel, I guess, that would have put you up in Derby.
Everybody was in this hotel that they all called the Brown Lotus. And
That's so good.
there was sort of the shining element to it. Like it felt like it was sort of this grand hotel that had been quiet or empty for a while and then suddenly filled by the ghosts of a television show. But it was great. We all had a great time. It was like camp. It was really fun. And I loved Derby.
You know what
I really did love Derby.
I love it when you go to places like that, where their best hotel is not even a good hotel. And when you just touch the bedspread, you can feel its history. Like you can feel the history of everybody that
And then the
has
history just
slept on
puffs
it.
up into the air as well.
Yeah.
Skin
By the
cells
way,
from
just
1,000.
To be clear, you're not getting any audio bites of me complaining. I had the greatest time ever and loved that hotel and all the people that work there.
Yeah, of course you did.
Nathan, Nat and Sean in podcast form.
Population 11, right, is you're of course American, and you come back to look for your Australian father who lives in this town. Population 11 is there's usually 12 people that live in this town, but your father is missing and then presumed dead. I have to say it's so funny because there's some things that really ring true, and I wonder if it's just an Australian thing or if it's around the world. But the Chinese restaurant that basically sells meat pies is so funny because there's a place, and it's just in Perth here. Many years ago, I popped into this deli, so it's like a normal, like a 7-Eleven, right? But mainly just like food and all this sort of stuff. But just on one wall, a complete giant wall, was a wall of hair extensions. I was like, what's that?
We love a crossover.
Yeah, a mashup. That was definitely bizarre to me, that the idea of that cafe. But to me, this whole experience, I didn't know what was funny and strange and entertaining to you all, to you mob, as you guys say, and what is just typical Australian. So I had to rely on the other Australians there to be like, mate, just so you know, this is not Australia. My wife's mad at me.
Stop doing it!
Because like for me, I would be like, well, wait, don't you guys see crocodiles all the time? Are crocodiles like living in your backyard? Like, no, dude, no. This is crazy to us too.
Yes.
By the way, being up in Derby, you would have seen 100 kangaroos getting around the place and sleeping on the main road, I would have thought.
Can't drive at night because you're going to hit
Yeah.
them and crash. So all of the animals are homicidal. The bugs are the size of my head. The snakes are all out to kill you. It's just landmines everywhere, but it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would find cockatoos in America, these beautiful exotic birds that you own as a pet. I didn't know they were like these pesky, loud things that like follow you around and scream at you.
Yes.
Until I got to Northwestern Australia.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
When you were filming, did your wife come and join you while you were filming?
No. I actually visited her. She and my whole family were in Italy, which, by the way, anybody wants to have a fun time traveling, catch a last minute flight from Northwest Australia to Florence. It's a breeze.
How small was the
It was
plane
so
getting
much.
out of there?
Oh my God. It was so 3 hours to Broome, Broome flight to Perth to Singapore, Singapore to Munich, Munich to Florence.
Ben,
and somehow I still only had like 20 minutes in Munich. Like I almost didn't get on the plane. It was insane.
Hey,
But
Ben,
That's
I know-
amazing.
Yeah. But when you go to meet up with your wife, she wants to see the best version of you and doesn't take into consideration of all those flights.
36-hour journey.
No. Yeah, every single person, because I'm executive producing the show and I'm in almost every scene, so I'm exhausted. I'm working constantly. When I was leaving, everybody on the set was just like, just go, relax, enjoy your vacation. And it's like, absolutely not. You get there, and my wife's like, here's the 2 children you haven't seen in 2 months. I'm going to take a nap. I'll see you at the end of the week.
And you're right. Crikey, mate.
Yeah, well, and also as like a dad, you can't be like, Daddy's going to go take a nap. Like they're finally seeing you for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, you little bastard.
So what was the most surprising thing? Because we got a basketball player called Jordan Usher who comes in here, and he's from America, and he said, he goes, I understand the sun's hot. He goes, but no one on earth is the sun hotter than it is here in Perth. What did you experience that you didn't realise was the reality in Australia?
It felt pretty similar. I mean, the crew, I spent all my time around crew and actors, and they all sort of were the Australian versions of crew and actors that I know and love back home. There was, and I was prepared for the elements. It actually wasn't as sort of hot and abusive as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I think for me, I was just constantly fascinated by how strange this language is, how you guys abbreviate absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Just everything from a doco to a servo. Like everybody's name is just the first letter of their name plus as, which is crazy to me.
Feldo, and sure.
And just weird little things like, we say capillaries, you say capillaries, which is just destroys my brain.
We say capsicum. You say, was it peppers?
Bell peppers.
Yeah, bell peppers.
Yeah. Oh, you guys call, wait, what is it? You call coriander.
Coriander.
But what is that really?
You call it cilantro.
Cilantro.
Yes.
They're different things. Those are different things.
Are they different
we have
things?
Both of those. Yes, both cilantro and coriander exist in the States.
Okay, because I believed that cilantro was your name for coriander.
No. When you're having Mexican food, like cilantro goes in guacamole, and it goes, it's got its own place. And coriander, it's a different thing.
No, we only have one. Yeah. We only have one.
I was learning a lot of stuff like that.
So is what we call coriander, is that cilantro or coriander?
You guys have to look this up. Coriander and cilantro are different things, right, Michelle? Yes, they're different things. Look it up, guys.
I love your research team.
That's so good.
I've got fact checkers.
You sound like, God, this is the guy we hitched our wagon to. Jesus. Well, mate,
guys, we're boarding.
Okay, go.
Ben, good on you, mate.
Everybody watch Ben. Population 11. It is bloody funny. Who wrote it again? It was
His name is Phil Lloyd, and he's the absolute greatest. Moody Christmas and Miles Barlow. Just a bunch of great stuff. And Trent O'Donnell, director, producer, has done a bunch of incredible shows. The entire team's made.
It all came together well. All right, go.
Good on you, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
Nathan, Nat and Sean is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.